The Spirit of Christ is a missionary spirit. Great Controversy, page 7.
Our blood healthy, pure, and clean, and some of the things that contaminate our blood. Before we start, we have to understand what blood is and what are the functions of our blood. It is said here, it is the specialized body fluid that supplies essential substance around the body. As much as we know that, without blood there is no life, right? If you cut the supply of blood to any organ in your body, what happens? It dies, right? Yes. If blood would not reach my palm, this part will die. That's why you find people with who are diabetic. Some of their foot they are not working anymore, and sometimes they go blind. Why? Because enough blood does not reach to those parts of the body. You have people who with gangrene, that is the problem with their foot, and then eventually they have to be amputated simply because there's no enough blood that reaches there. So there are so many functions that we're going to talk about, but firstly I want us to check the composition or the structure of the blood, the constituent of the blood. We have something called plasma, which is about 55% in our blood. The blood that we have, it has got something like 55% of plasma. And again, we have got what we call the platelets. We will talk about these and their functions. We have got the platelets, which are in small percentage, and the red blood cells, which consist of something like 41%, and the white blood cells, that is about 4% in our body. As you can see here, the different parts of our blood. So this is the structure of the blood, and we're going to dwell much or in depth as to what each one do and how they can be affected and stuff like that. But before we start with this, I want us to first read the quotation from Ellen G. White. I did not manage to put it here. Let's read this quotation from Ellen G. White. She says, "Some animals that are brought to the slaughter seem to realize by instinct what to take place, and they become furious and literally mad. They are killed while in that state, and their flesh is prepared for market. Their meat is poison and has produced in those who have eaten it cramps, convulsion, sudden death. Yet the cause of all this suffering is not attributed to meat." All right, I've got the reason why I read this. You will see as we proceed why I have read this. How is it connected to what we are talking about today? And then she continues to say, "Animals are diseased, and by partaking of their flesh, we plant the seeds of disease in our tissues and blood. Then, when exposed to the changes in a malarious atmosphere, these are more sensible felt. Also, when we are exposed to prevailing epidemic and contagious diseases, the system is not in a condition to resist the disease." CD 386.6. And then again, when you read Testimony for the Churches, volume 2, 61, 1868, it says, "You have flesh, but it is not good material. You are worse off for this amount of flesh. If you would each come down to more spare diet, which would take from your 25 and 30 pounds of your gross flesh, you should be much less liable to disease. The eating of flesh meat has made a poor quality of blood and flesh. Your system are in a state of inflammation, prepared to take on disease. You are liable to acute attack of disease and to sudden death because you do not possess the strength of constitution to rally and resist disease. There will come a time when the strength and health you have flattened yourself you possess will prove to be weakness. These are just testimony before we start. I just want you to grasp something before we start. And then she continues to say, I have felt, this one it's from extract from unpublished testimony in regard to flesh food. She says, I have felt urged by the Spirit of God to set before several fact that their suffering and ill health was caused by a disregard of light given them upon health reform. I have shown them that their meat diet, which was supposed to be essential, was not necessary. My cells were in an unwholesome condition because they lived on the flesh of dead animals, that their blood was being corrupted by this improper diet, that the flesh which they ate was diseased, and their entire system was becoming gross and corrupt. The entire system was corrupt. Flesh meat will depreciate the blood. Cook meat with spices and eat with rich cake and spices, and you have a bad quality of blood. The system is too heavily taxed in disposing of this kind of food. This one you find it in a testimony for the churches, volume 2, 368, 18, 17. If ever there was a time when the diet should be of the most simple kind, it is now. Meat should not be placed before our children. Its influence is excite and strengthen the lower passion and has a tendency to deaden the moral powers. I was instructed that the use of flesh meat has a tendency to animalize the nature and to rob men and women of the love and sympathy which they should feel for everyone. We are built up for that which we eat, and those whose diet is largely composed of animal food are brought into a condition where they allow the lower passion to assume control of their power of their being. Alright, let me stop here. I've got so many quotations, otherwise I will not finish. Okay, these are quotations from the writings of Ellen G. White, wherein she talks about animal food, right? To say there are two things that you get from these. The passions from animals, meaning that the hormones which animal produce, you are also getting them, as well as the contamination, all the contamination that you will find in these animals, you are incorporating them into your system. You will see as we proceed how they contaminate the plasma. This one, the one that we have here, the 55% in our blood. This is what happened when an animal is brought to the slaughterhouse. They are all stressed out. That's why today people don't prefer shooting an animal, right? Because if you shoot, because that's the easiest way of killing it, right? But they don't prefer shooting it. They rather use a knife or something to kill it, which is a hard work, right? Why? Because when you shoot an animal, others as well that are close by, they are stressed, right, by what is happening. And then hence, when you have to kill this animal, you have to take it as far as possible, all right, away from these ones. It's not a good thing to kill it in front of the other animals. Why? Because they are stressed out as much as you are stressed out by something that terrifies you or something that scares you. Same applies with these animals. When they are stressed like that, they produce hormones as much as we produce hormones, cortisol and also adrenaline. You know, adrenaline, the fight flight hormone that makes you wants to fight or wants to run away from the problem. If there's something that scares you, your hormones will be produced, adrenaline will be given so that you can run or you fight that particular stressor. That's what happened to animals as well. When you shoot it or you kill it, or you treat it in a way that it's not a human, they are stressed out, and then when they are stressed out, they produce all these hormones. And then when they produce all these hormones, they get transferred, or they get deposited into the blood system. And then as the blood system circulates throughout, you know, I mean, meat has got what? Blood, right? Now, when you consume of this meat, you are consuming those secreted hormones as well into your blood system, thus making you to have all these passions. Hence, when you read in the writings of Ellen G. White, she talks about what? Animal passion that we have due to what? Due to animal meat. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. If you could check, it's just that I did not put the video here. If you could check how they treat cows and their mother, you will stop even drinking milk, which is not right actually, which is not healthy. I'm laying out this background so that you will understand as we proceed, right? I've got a reason why I lay out this. It may look like it's not related to what we were talking about, but then it is related. When a cow produces an offspring, the calf will be taken away from the mother immediately when the calf is born. Now, tell me, if you are a mother, after delivering your baby, they take away your baby away from you, I don't know, for a month or for the whole year or until forever, would you be happy about that? No, you won't be happy. When they take the calf away from their mothers, they will cry to say, why are you doing this? Right? So they are stressed out. They are worried. Why are you taking my baby? And then as a result, the cow will produce these anger hormones, right? And then as it produces that, why are they taking away the calf? Is because they don't want it to finish the milk. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yes, because they want to suck the milk so that you can drink. That's how they do it. Otherwise, the calf will finish up the what? The milk. So they take it immediately so that they can suck the milk, and then they give you. Now, when all these things has happened, you're consuming a lot of things that you're not supposed to consume. That's why we always have got what? All these bad tempers, and we've got all these things that we have is because of these things, which contaminate the what? The whole system. That's why today you see people, they are not afraid of walking naked, right? Doing abominable things in front of everyone as much as animals do, right? Yeah, animals, they don't care whether you are there or not, you are watching or not, they can sleep with each other in front of you, right? Same applies with us human today. because we are consuming these things on a daily basis, they corrupt our system. The hormones which are produced when these things are slaughtered, they get what? We get them as well. We get them incorporated into our system. And then the same manner, the same behavior that these animals have will be your behavior as well. You understand that, right? All right. We have got the plasma, the red blood cell, which it's I said it's about 41%, and then also white blood cells that helps in fighting diseases. We'll explain more. This is just an introduction. That are produced in your bone marrow before entering into the bloodstream, and then the plasma, which is mostly water that is absorbed from ingested food and drink that in the intestine. When we eat food, from this food you can get what? You can get all these waters and all these things. Now, if you read Leviticus chapter 19 verse 23, it says, you shall not eat anything with what? With blood. Why? Because life is where? Life is in the blood, right? This is what plasma is consist of. In the plasma, or let me just play this before I come to this one. I want you to watch this. This is a discovery that has been made. Let me just play it and not explain it.
I was eating. An experiment to help answer that question was being conducted by Dr.
I don't know
Robert Vogel,
where's the sound?
co-chair of the NFL's subcommittee on cardiovascular health.
What you eat immediately before an athletic endeavor really can have major impact on how you perform. There's a direct correlation between a meal and endothelial function. The endothelium is the lining of blood vessels. It regulates blood flow throughout the body. It knows that a particular muscle group or organ needs more blood flow, and it dilates, it opens up. When the endothelium is impaired, it cannot open up. It cannot allow blood flow to increase as much, and therefore impairs athletic performance.
The test subjects were 3 football players from the Miami Dolphins, defensive back Michael Thomas, and wide receivers Griff Whalen and Kenny Stills.
For the touchdown, Kenny Stills.
Today we're going to be feeding them 3 burrito breakfasts with a lot of protein. 2 of them have sources of animal-based protein and fat. One is from beef, one is from chicken. Third is a plant-based burrito, which has beans in it. So the protein and the fat came from a plant-based source. Tomorrow, we're going to feed them all bean burritos. We're looking at the impact of eating a different meal on the same people.
All right, here's the beef. Thank you. Chicken here, and I have a plant-based one here as well.
Thank you.
Griff has been plant-based for 4 years, so he got bean burritos on both days.
On away games, we always eat fried chicken. We eat Popeyes.
The elasticity of your muscles.
Popeyes.
Now, these gentlemen, this is a meat eater, this is a vegetarian, and then this is a meat eater again.
And put into a
What happened here is because the voice, the sound is disappointing me here.
amber-colored fluid.
They gave them,
rises to the top.
they gave this one
As
meat.
it's see-through, it means there's not
night,
fat in the blood, and the endothelium is
all of them, like
well.
this one he was given meat, and this was given meat, then this was given his meal, which is vegetarian meal
And yesterday,
for the first on the first day,
a plant
and then on the second day they were given plant-based diet, all of them.
in your bloodstream. Cloudy, and that's on top is the fat circulating.
I want
in
you
your
to
blood
see
from
the result when they take their bloods to check them
If you're the vegan,
as to
your
what
blood from today,
meat
blood
can
from
do to your
yesterday.
blood,
Nice and clear, both of them.
So the fat from the avocado doesn't have that kind of a...
or unhealthy food. You are determining whether your plasma should be in a good and healthy state or not. Like I said earlier on, this is what happened. As you are stressed out and animals are stressed out, they produce what? This hormone called epinephrine to the blood, that which is also a fight-flight hormone, preparing you to what? To want to run or to want to be violent. When someone comes and do something wrong to you and then you become angry, it's because of this hormone that happens in animals as well. HL109 Ellen Joy says, those who consist largely upon flesh cannot avoid eating the meat of animals which are to a great or less degree diseased. The process of feeding the animal for market produce them a disease and fitted in as a healthful as manner as they can be. They become heated and diseased by driving before them before they reach the market. The fluid and flesh of these diseased animals are received directly into the blood. Can you hear what she's saying? The what? Where is that? The fluids and flesh of these animals are received directly into the blood and passed into the circulation of human body, becoming fluid and flesh of the same. Thus, humus are introduced into the system. And if the person already has impure blood, it is greatly aggravated by eating of the flesh of this animal. Meaning that if your blood is already contaminated, by you partaking in this, you are just worsening the situation. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, you are just worsening the situation. PC166 says, oh, if everyone could discern this matter as they have been presented to me, those who are now so careless, so indifferent in regard to their character building, those who plead for indulgence in a flesh meat diet will never upon their lips, in justification of an appetite for the flesh of dead animals, such a diet contaminate the blood of the veins and stimulate the lower animal passion. It enfeebles keen perception and vigor of thought to the understanding of God and truth and knowledge of themselves. So at the end of the day, simply because of all these problems, all of these impurities, it will become impossible even for you to understand the things of God. It will become impossible for you to discern spiritual things. Why? Because the whole system is weakened. The whole system is down. The whole system is tired. The whole system all these animal passion, all these hormones, all these things, they are in the system now, controlling you as to how you should behave, controlling you as how you should react in such certain situation. If something like this happens, this is how you should react, because you cannot run. Definitely not. The word disease, it comes from the word dis-ease. You are no longer functioning at ease. You understand? God created us to function at ease, meaning that everything should just go smooth. But simply because of the introduction of flesh meat in our plate, so many diseases were brought into our system. That's why when you check, before the antediluvians, these guys would live 900 and something years, right? Why? Because they were eating plant-based diet. But then after that, after meat was introduced, the height was what? Reduced. The years life expectancy was also what? The longevity of men was also reduced to 120 years. Why? Because these things, they come with so many diseases. There are so many, all these diseases we have: diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, which also milk plays a bigger role in it, and so many diseases is because of flesh meat. Because of meat eating, many die and they do not understand the cause. If the truth were known, it will bear the testimony it was the flesh of animals that passed through death. The thought of feeding upon flesh meat is repulsive. But there is something in meat eating. We partake of disease, dead flesh, and this sows its seed of corruption in human organism. And remember, this is another problem. You don't know whether the flesh that you are eating died on itself or it was killed. That's another problem. God says, thou shalt not eat anything that dies in itself. But so many in so many industries, animals die by themselves. Do you think they just throw them away? No, they do not throw anything. They cut it and do what? And sell it. They don't throw anything. So we are actually breaking the commandment of God. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It's like, I would say it's a disobedience to continue in that practice, because you are not even sure what happened when they kill this animal. There are but few animals that are free from diseases. Many have been made to suffer greatly for the want of light, pure air, and wholesome food. When they are fattened, they are often confined in closed stables and are not permitted to exercise. Why? They're not permitted to exercise so that they can grow fast, right? They cannot get fresh air or anything outside so that they can grow fast. Now, says they are deprived from what? From light, pure air, and wholesome food. They are fattened. They are often confined in closed stables and are not permitted to exercise and to enjoy free circulation of air. Many poor animals are left to breathe the poisons of filthy which is left in barns and stables. Their lungs will not long remain healthy while inhabiting such impurities. Disease is conveyed to the liver, and the entire system of animal is diseased, and they are what? And they are killed. So now, an animal is diseased, right? The whole system of that animal is diseased. Now, it's like you are just going to do what? To eat the diseases. Very scary, right? That's why Ellen Joy says you are cruel when you do that, because all these, the system, the whole system is poisoned and it's killed and prepared for the market, and people eat freely of this poisonous animal food. Much disease is caused in this manner, but the people cannot be made to believe it is the meat they have eaten which have poisoned their blood and caused their suffering. Many died of disease caused wholly by meat eating, yet the world does not seem to be wiser. It may be doing its work surely upon the system, and yet the person for the time being realize nothing of it. We don't realize anything. We don't realize this is the problem. This is the cause of all these things, because we are not the video that I just played here, it plays for 3 hours, trying to explain these are not Adventists. That the video that I just played here, they are not Adventists, but someone was sick, and then because of sicknesses on so many things and he could not find help, he ended up researching for himself until he found that the only way to treat my sicknesses is through following health or plant-based diet. And then he started searching. He did a lot of researches wherein he found so many things. I think it would be wiser for you to watch the whole of that video. It will help you a lot. They are not Adventists, and most of those doctors that I showed there, they are not Adventists, and many of them show how dangerous meat is. So you can see that the world is becoming wiser and wiser about this issue. But we are what? We're just reluctant. We're just relaxed. We are going to stop here. We never thought it would take this much. I was trying to be fast, even though I was losing myself as I was talking because I'm trying to be fast. But we are going to continue in the afternoon with the rest, because I did most of the quotations than really what this plot is. I thought I would be faster, but I proved myself wrong. All right. Anyway, we are going to close in prayer.